been broke one day in my life. Never, not once. Now, I have been temporarily suspended in between paychecks.
I believe those of you who are going to begin to declare the goodness of the Lord in the face of badness, there's going to be a wealth transference that is going to hit your house.
What if the real wealth in Atlanta isn't sitting in corporate boardrooms or political offices as you think, but flowing through church pews every single Sunday? These pastors have moved from preaching salvation to building million-dollar empires, and their influence stretches far beyond what you imagined. You've always thought this is about faith alone, then you're completely wrong. What you're about to see in this video will forever change how you see Christianity in Atlanta. Number 10. Philip Anthony Mitchell. Philip Anthony Mitchell represents the next generation of Atlanta. As founder of 2819 Church, he's building one of America's fastest-growing churches. His story resonates, going from $100,000 in debt to leading over 6,000 weekly attendees. You'll only see that happen in Hollywood movies. Mitchell studied at North Carolina Central University and Valor Christian College. His church started with just 183 people. Within years, that exploded to over 5,000. Today, they draw around 6,000 across 3 Sunday services at their Greenbrier Parkway location. Think about the numbers. 6,000 people weekly means annual revenue in the millions, even with conservative estimates. No public figures exist, but basic math tells the story. Mitchell founded the 2819 Institute, a ministry arm designed to spread his vision beyond Atlanta. It's a training pipeline suggesting Mitchell isn't thinking of just one church. He's thinking of pioneering a movement, a network, potentially franchising his model. Where Mitchell dominates is capturing young Black professionals and families who want contemporary worship without abandoning Black church tradition. He's threading a needle most pastors can't see. Modern enough for millennials, but traditional enough for folks who want authentic Black preaching. That balance is gold in Atlanta's competitive market. Mitchell hasn't accumulated vast real estate like older pastors, but he's building something more valuable, a scalable brand working through digital platforms and social media. In 2025, that might be smarter than buying 60 acres, but if this rapid growth impresses you, this next pastor built something opposite, a quiet institutional power. Number 9. Byron E. Thomas. Byron E. Thomas is the pastor nobody talks about, and that's exactly how he wants it. A U.S. Air Force veteran with intimidating credentials, bachelor's from Virginia Union, Master of Divinity from Southern Methodist University, Doctor of Ministry from McCormick. This right here is someone who understands denominational politics at the highest levels. His career as a pastor shows how much of a strategic thinker he is. Central United Methodist from 2006 to 2013, Fort Street from 1999 to 2005. Then, Ben Hill United Methodist on June 2013. Each move positioned him for greater denominational authority. The transformation at Ben Hill is probably the most outstanding. The church retired its mortgage 5 years early. After 6.5 years under Thomas, Ben Hill had 0 debt and $4.5 million in the bank. Think about those numbers. While megachurches sweat over loans, Thomas built complete financial security. In 2021, Thomas became district superintendent of the Central South District, elevating him beyond one church into regional authority over multiple congregations. He chairs committees, serves on denominational boards controlling real resources across Georgia. Thomas keeps personal life private. No flashy cars, no social media stunts, no prosperity theatrics, but his position gives control over denominational resources and churches with multi-million-dollar budgets. When you control the system instead of one church, you've really secured something far more durable, and Thomas is that guy. And while he built through quiet systems, the next pastor brilliantly merged ministry with the music industry. Number 8. Bishop William Murphy III. Bishop William Murphy III somehow figured out that these days, church and entertainment are probably the same business. As presiding bishop of worship for the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship, Murphy holds denominational authority across multiple states. With his wife Danielle, he leads Dream Center Church of Atlanta. In 2024, Murphy released Payback the Retribution record, recorded at Dream Center in November 2023. As if that was the height of it, on July 2025, his single Double hit #1 on Billboard Gospel Airplay. The album debuted at #7 on Billboard's Gospel chart. Those are industry numbers translating to real money: streaming royalties, downloads, licensing for films and commercials, performance fees. In fact, his church doubles as a recording studio, so investments serve both worship and commercial production. His marriage to Danielle functions more like a business partnership, both of whom manage the ministry together. The shift Murphy achieved just shows how the Black church has evolved. He's not relying on fluctuating Sunday offerings. He already built streams through music sales, media, denominational positions, and operations feeding each other. That protects against attendance collapse hitting traditional churches. When songs stream forever and albums generate royalties for years, you've created digital assets that are ever appreciating in returns. That might be smarter wealth building in 2025 than buying another campus. But if Murphy merged church and music, the next pastor shattered every rule by building probably the most controversial ministry in the whole of Atlanta. Number 7. Bishop O.C. Allen. Oliver Clyde. Allen III did what was considered impossible. He built a thriving Black megachurch in Atlanta while being openly gay. In a city where Black church culture has been deeply conservative on sexuality, Allen somehow founded the Vision Church in 2005 and grew it into a multi-million-dollar operation. Allen married Rashad Burgess in 2012, who holds the title of First Gentleman of the Vision Church. That's intentional restructuring announcing their complete break from convention. And somehow, they became nationally influential instead of being run out of town. The Vision Church's combined ministries, conferences, and network reportedly generate multi-million-dollar annual budgets. Allen founded the I Elevate National Conference, drawing thousands with serious corporate sponsorship. Of course, those LGBTQ communities have the money, education, disposable income. Exactly what businesses want to reach. Media visibility further expanded his platform. The Advocate and GBM News named him among America's most influential LGBTQ faith leaders. That recognition translates to speaking fees and consultation paying far more than just traditional offerings. Beyond Sunday services, Allen runs social advocacy, HIV prevention, leadership consulting. Income streams separate from tithes. Public records show ministry real estate in the high six-figure to low seven-figure range. To be honest, you can't help but admire how Allen is capturing the hearts of thousands. Younger Black Americans, especially educated professionals, increasingly reject churches condemning LGBTQ members. Allen positioned exactly where cultural change is happening. The Vision Church has been very open about celebrating gay members. That attracts educated, financially stable people forced out by homophobia. His wealth might not rival the prosperity preachers, but his influence over the gay Black community is something else. Seeing how loud the LGBTQ communities are becoming, it's clear that he already won tomorrow's battle. And while Allen built the future church, the next pastor did some you'd never think a pastor would do. Number 6. Reverend Raphael Warnock. Since 2005, Raphael Warnock has pastored Ebenezer Baptist Church, the very same pulpit where Martin Luther King Jr. preached. That connection carries a very heavy weight, but Warnock wanted something even more. Then at 2021, he became a U.S. Senator representing Georgia. A sitting senator who still pastors one of America's most historic Black churches. That dual role creates something unprecedented and somehow uncomfortable: a pastor voting on federal legislation while preaching Sunday sermons. That probably isn't the perfect job description you would expect from a pastor. Well, when you add his salary as a sitting senator plus church compensation and an $89,000 annual housing allowance from the church, and real wealth that most pastors would snatch with both hands. Property records show his luxury Atlanta home is over $1 million in value. The church also owns a luxury residence purchased for $989,000 that Warnock occupies rent-free as of 2023. His memoir alone also brought a book advance of over $200,000. That's probably modest compared to prosperity preachers. Ebenezer draws thousands of members weekly, and of course, the church's civil rights heritage makes it a required pilgrimage for politicians who want the Black voters on their side when election starts drawing near. But if Warnock owns both spiritual and political power, the next pastor has definitely secured his spot in the digital future. Number 5. E. Dewey Smith.
Been broke one day in my life. Never, not once. Now, I have been temporarily suspended in between paychecks.
E. Dewey Smith saw the future of the church before most pastors realized the traditional church was slowly fading away. As senior pastor of the House of Hope Atlanta, he built a congregation claiming over 10,000 members by treating church like a media company from day one. Under his leadership, the church acquired serious infrastructure: 60 acres, 6 buildings, a 7,000-seat cathedral. Now that's a traditional megachurch. But Smith didn't stop there, and this is what separates him from most 20th century pastors. Around 2020, Smith launched Hope TV Network, not just for streaming services, a full television operation producing original content consumed by millions. His productions reportedly hit hundreds of millions of views, won multiple Telly Awards. It completely transformed the church from a local institution into a media company preaching gospel on Sundays. Smith keeps personal finances private, though infrastructure tells everything about resource access. He diversified into music, releasing the album God Period in 2021 under his own label. It charted on gospel rankings. His singles got radio play. He also had revenue streams from streaming royalties and sales, not just tithes. His net worth is reported to be around $1 million, but those figures are likely below his institutional value. The 60-acre campus, the television network, media production, intellectual property from content, the real number is probably significantly higher. What matters more than personal wealth is that Smith figured out platform control equals power in the future. When you operate your own network, produce content, shaping how hundreds of thousands think about faith and success, build audiences attracting corporate sponsorships, you're not just a traditional pastor. You're a media company with a ministry license. The House of Hope creates content that attracts partnerships conventional churches never access. That business model is way more sustainable than hoping people show up on a Sunday morning. Smith positioned exactly where consumption happens, and that's how you own the future. But if Smith owns the digital future, our final pastor did something even more foundational. Number 4. Marlon D. Harris. Marlon D. Harris doesn't own the most acres of land, doesn't have the biggest building, doesn't run a TV network, doesn't chart on Billboard, and he's definitely not worth tens of millions. But he might be the most powerful pastor on this entire list. Let's start with this. Harris started New Life Church in Decatur in 1995, when most thought that area couldn't support another black church. He had a Clark Atlanta degree, a vision, and apparently not much else. What he built defies everything the prosperity gospel taught. Instead of massive sanctuaries, Harris focused on what bigger ministries overlook: actual community infrastructure. He established a full community center in South DeKalb, functioning like a social services agency. Health screenings, education programs, clothing drives, food distribution, support for juvenile offenders, and even homeless rehabilitation. These are beyond just occasional charity events, but they are weekly operations making New Life essential infrastructure in neighborhoods the government abandoned. Harris married and built family life around the same grassroots philosophy defining his ministry. While megachurch pastors broadcast from campuses, Harris maintains a neighborhood model prioritizing accessibility over all the glamour and spectacle. The church has grown significantly over nearly 3 decades without sacrificing that focus on community. Harris doesn't chase headlines, doesn't showcase wealth, but he controls something infinitely more valuable: trust in communities determining elections, economic development, and political legitimacy. The pastors who own the streets often matter more than those owning buildings. And that is exactly where the real power lies. But imagine being called to pastor a church with over $46 million in debt and a drastically reducing audience. That's the story of our next pastor, and you won't believe what he's doing to turn that around. Number 3. Jamal Bryant.
Y'all ain't saying that they having moments of silence in black churches all over the country over a man that was racist and a white supremacist. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King?
Jamal Bryant seemed to have inherited a kingdom in crisis. Born on 21st May, 1971 in Boston, Massachusetts, United States, Jamal Bryant walked into New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, succeeding Eddie Long after his death and a period of chaos that saw membership bleeding out and debt piling up. Some sources estimate Bryant's personal net worth around $20 million, though those figures. But while it looked like Bryant stepped into a church with debts dragging it into extinction, he also inherited the church's expanse of land. New Birth reportedly controls roughly 250 acres in DeKalb County. According to Bryant himself, that makes them the largest landowner of any black church in America. Now that's what you call a real estate empire. Under Bryant's watch, the church has tried to renegotiate debt multiple times, with reports indicating nearly $10 million in additional loans secured using that land as collateral. Back before the recession, New Birth was pulling in around $10 million per year just in offerings. But by the time Bryant arrived, that money was already sputtering. Besides that, New Birth runs community programs, but public financial transparency remains practically non-existent. The tension between legacy debts, maintenance costs, and Bryant's ambitious land monetization plans creates drama. The big question remains, can he save this empire, or is he managing a slow collapse? However, his controversies are probably one for the record books. I mean, this is a pastor who said he wanted to develop a new gospel for adults who are used to having sex, and also suggested that he wanted to grow marijuana on the land of the church to attract young men. How bad can this get? Yes, he controls 250 acres in metro Atlanta, but the question is whether he can convert those assets into liquid wealth before debt swallows everything. However, guess who he inherited all that debt from? A name you're probably familiar with. Number 2. Bishop Eddie L. Long. Eddie L. Long might be dead, but his influence is still felt in Atlanta. When he became senior pastor of New Birth in 1987, the church had just 300 members. By 2017, when he died, New Birth claimed a staggering 25,000 people. Long constructed a 10,000-seat sanctuary on hundreds of acres in DeKalb and Lithonia. The infrastructure looked like a city, not a church. The money he pumped in there was insane. A 2005 investigation revealed that between 1997 and 2000, Long personally received more than $3.07 million in compensation. And that was just 3 years, 2 decades ago. Long owned a $350,000 Bentley and lived in a mansion while preaching to working-class Lithonia. In 2006, Coretta Scott King's family chose him to host her funeral, positioning him alongside civil rights royalty, despite all the controversies surrounding his ministry. His real estate moves can be considered as reckless. He assembled hundreds of acres, securing over $33.6 million in construction loans. By 2008, his debt was already towering at $46.8 million. His empire included satellites, a Christian school, bookstore, fitness center. That's a lot of revenue streams, but it didn't take long before cracks began to appear. Sexual misconduct accusations exploded across the media. Financial scrutiny intensified. Donations dropped. He died on January 2017, leaving massive infrastructure, crushing debt, and unanswered questions. The controversy wasn't just money, it was the gap. New Birth's post-death struggles prove owning the moment doesn't mean owning the future. While Long's empire crumbled and he passed away, this next pastor transformed his church to a $69 million a one-year empire. Number 1. Creflo Dollar.
I believe those of you who are going to begin to declare the goodness of the Lord in the face of badness, there's going to be a wealth transference that is going to hit your house.
That name will definitely ring a bell. Creflo Dollar built what you'll call a prosperity gospel empire and never apologized for it. He started in 1986 with 8 people in an elementary school cafeteria. Today, World Changers Church International is an absolute global force. On December 24, 1995, World Changers moved into the World Dome, an 8,500-seat facility. By 2007, the church had around 30,000 members. Church revenue in 2006 alone was estimated at $69 million. $69 million in just 1 year. Now that's serious money. Dollar's net worth sits somewhere around $27 million, and the man has never hidden his wealth. Multiple multi-million-dollar homes, Rolls-Royce, and of course, private jets. He even asked followers to help fund a $65 million Gulfstream G650. The backlash he received from that was brutal, but Dollar doubled down. His church campus spans roughly 81 acres with satellites on multiple continents, but Dollar's ministry reportedly received an F grade from a financial watchdog for lack of audited disclosures. Nobody really knows exactly where all that money goes. Beyond tithes, Dollar has built diversified income. He once claimed he could command up to $100,000 for a single speaking engagement. Add that to his book sales, media, and revenue flows from multiple directions, and you've got yourself one of the richest pastors in America. World Changers local community had average annual income around $29,640. Meanwhile, their pastor flies private. Dollar publicly stated the $18 to $20 million needed to build the World Dome came without bank financing, meaning the congregation generated it through offerings alone. Despite endless controversies, World Changers remains globally recognized, and daily broadcast still reaches millions and millions of people all over the world. And there you have it, the richest and most influential black pastors in Atlanta. Which one shocked you the most? Drop your answer in the comments, smash that like button if these stories deserve more attention, and subscribe because the stories mainstream media avoids are exactly the ones we're telling next. Check out our next video on the richest black pastor in Jamaica who secretly owns the country.